Chulip is a title that has a cult following with many dedicated fans to this day, and I'd like to explore exactly why that's the case. The game can't truly be considered a masterpiece because of the many errors evident in translation and design execution, but the game is made clear through the way it's presented that it has much more to offer, with attempts and successes at instilling important themes through its character interaction and development. I'd like to argue that Chulip provides much more than laughs from its absurdity, with immense value in storytelling application hidden behind the many flaws evident with the game's design. I will be analyzing the title by exploring what it does poorly and what it does quite well, speaking mostly out of love for a game I feel worthy of remembrance in gaming history for more than its bizarre humor. Chulip was developed in Japan by Punchline in 2002 and picked up for localization by Natsume, a fact immediately recognizable to me when I noticed it shares the same text font as the one seen in Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life. In 2007, a whole 5 years after its initial launch in Japan, Natsume was ready to release the game in North America, yet knew it probably wouldn't be received as well for Western audiences for being so obscure. In order to combat this, they lowered the retail price at launch in an attempt to boost sales. The game's obscurity is further contributed by its release. The title was a GameStop exclusive, arriving in stores the day before Valentine's Day. For myself, after seeing YouTubers John and Aaron of GameGrumps play through the beginning of this game, I was captivated and wanted to know more immediately. It was so charming and quirky, so mysterious, and had a premise unlike any game I've seen before it. Chulip begins with our unnamed hero, I will refer to him as Poor Boy in this video, meeting up with his vision of a perfect companion in his love life. The couple profess their love for each other under the significant lover's tree through marital vows and seal their promise with a kiss, only for the player to realize after that it was all a dream of the protagonist and didn't actually happen. In reality, the main character and his father move into a small apartment in Long Life Town, quickly becoming the main source of gossip and looked down upon for living in poverty. After meeting the neighbors, our little poor boy discovers that the girl of his dreams is a real person, and actually lives in the town him and his father had just moved into. It is now his, and yours as the player's, mission to make his dream a reality and kiss the girl under the tree of destiny. Unfortunately, that won't be such an easy task, as she denies feelings for the boy and won't be won over with a weak heart. The only way to woo this girl is with a great love letter, something impossible for the boy with his inexperience and lack of social reputation. After meeting with an underground resident that wishes to help the boy with his goal, it is learned that the sole way to win his true love's heart is by, very unconventionally, kissing enough in-game characters to strengthen his heart. Only then will he be able to write a love letter suitable enough for the girl's affection and consent to his kiss and promise for lifetime happiness. Unfortunately too, the love letter set required to make this happen is stolen from the underground resident by his colleague, a teacher unsatisfied with his lack of income and demands the letter set as severance pay. The letter set is split into 3 separate pieces, love ink, love paper, and love fountain pen, and taken to different areas of the map for Poor Boy to find. This story is all well executed and makes sense within the world the game shows us, has good humor to it, and makes way to explore the main theme of the game, the idea of what happiness is to all characters involved. The teachers of the local junior high are a large focus of the main plot, because they are the ones that steal the pieces of the love letter set you are required to find. They do this out of spite towards their boss, and at the end of the game find themselves discussing what happiness is, stating they haven't found it themselves yet. As weird as this setup may sound, it's a very real topic for consideration and is applicable to everybody in the real world. "We're all travelers searching for happiness" is a significantly impactful quote towards the end of the game, and is the most important life lesson that Chulip showcases in my opinion. While I praise the story, many criticize the gameplay mechanics the game introduces. I'd have to agree with that statement wholeheartedly, as the game can be pretty confusing and unforgiving if the player is not seeking advice from a strategy guide included within the game's instruction manual. Chulip runs on a time mechanic very similar to the likes of Majora's Mask, in that every person in the town follows a specific schedule in their day. You have to observe them, figure out a routine, and strike a smooch at the right moment. In that sense, it's a strategy game. Discovery is rewarded, but at the same time punishable, often incredibly harshly. The player gets smacked and battered around constantly, depleting precious life energy, resulting in frequent game overs that the main character's heart breaks. The player is even able to check dumpsters for items, but the character will frequently find a poopy item, directly dealing damage to them. It's one of the major problems with the game's presentation. The player is required to do research before playing Chulip if they don't want to die constantly, a fact of gameplay that doesn't appeal to everybody. But that's essentially the game. Track NPCs, find out what makes them happy, and fulfill whatever task is needed to earn their trust and respect, so you're able to give them a kiss. Report back to the Lover's Tree at the end of the night, and your progress will be recorded and rewarded by means of leveling up. While the gameplay can be less than stellar at times, the game is certainly beatable, and there are little instances that I actually got frustrated. But that's only because I had the game manual by my side to prepare me for those circumstances. Considering all of this, I quickly began to realize that the game's story, characters, and themes are what makes this title shine, not the gameplay mechanics at all. Chulip tackles real-world dilemmas using absurd situations to get this point across. I find it fascinating that while the game may appear to simply be weird because it can be, there is great value to the story that can be uncovered when the game is given a chance, to those who have been turned away by the game's difficulty. Furthering this video, I will focus on the most memorable moment I found that kept me enthralled and invested in Chulip rather than annoyances in gameplay, including a love story between a zombie and a sentient lion statue. Throughout the game, the player will come across many cracks in the ground. Looking inside will reveal more underground residents, who come out at one specific time every day and require certain tasks to be met in order to kiss them. A quite humorous underground resident is named Retired Bucket, a man who rolls around in his home in a trash can, stating he is worthless to society. This is actually quite dark in context, considering that a major theme of the game is unsatisfied workers trying to find happiness. It is obviously an exaggerated profession for Retired Bucket to actually be a trash can, but that's what he is, and this is the game's method of storytelling. In reality, he is a guy that feels stuck in a job where he finds himself worthless to the world. That's a very depressing thought, and something unfortunately many people can relate to in today's society. Later on in the game, there's a factory that the main character has to manage, and the NPCs of the area contemplate whether or not their lives have been wasted working a dissatisfying job. Poor Boy can, of course, help all these people out though, and the only way he's going to be able to receive a kiss from any of them is by finding what makes them happy. It felt wonderful after becoming factory president, firing workers that wanted so desperately to quit, especially Bataillon, a character that needed to be worn down by his day job in order to fully realize his fulfillment and contentness in music, regardless of how much money he's making as a career. Another relatable character that deals with the theme of finding happiness is Miss Zombie Mika. She is a character that the player meets later on in the game, who shows herself after kissing the two required characters. If Poor Boy touches her lingering soul, he is transported to the spirit world and invited to drink tea with the undead girl. Because she has already passed away, her taste is not quite what it used to be and physically damages Poor Boy when he drinks the beverage. If the player lies and tells Mika the tea is good, the zombie girl is reminded of a boy she used to like and how he enjoyed her tea when she was alive. After repeated visits, she finally remembers the boyfriend's favorite tea blend and tells Poor Boy the combination of herbs needed to make it. She's not lasting much longer though, and unfortunately is slowly deteriorating, evidenced by her inability to make any more tea, memory fatigue, and body parts physically falling off of her. One of these body parts is her eyeball, which the player can pick up and carry in Poor Boy's inventory on this journey to prepare the tea recipe. Taking the ingredients to the only tea maker in town, the man crafts it for Poor Boy and notice how delicious the taste is, while stating how it feels as if he's being watched by someone. Visiting Mika one last time after this event and giving her eyeball back allows her to see the places you've been, including her boyfriend, the tea maker, enjoying her tea one final time. With this, she is happy and fulfilled enough to fully pass on to the afterlife, kissing Poor Boy as gratitude for relieving her distress. I found this side story to be incredibly heart-wrenching. It's clever in execution, the story is sweet, and it's incredibly sad but heartwarming to imagine. Finally, after retrieving all pieces of the love letter set with a strong heart, the main character sets out to deliver the newly written letter to his beloved. However, when attempting to do this at the standard mailbox, the player is told that it will never reach his crush's heart this way. When trying to discover the correct mailbox to mail the envelope in, Poor Boy is brought to a gigantic hole in the ground one of the teachers started digging up to hide in. Upon inspecting and entering, Poor Boy is made to undergo a series of trials proving his worth in order to uncover the only mailbox that will reach his lover's heart. This concept is certainly an odd one, but powerful in that everyone deserves the right to prove themselves to the love of their lives, and just about everybody goes through a sort of trial to have their partner fall for them. This is certainly the case in Chulip, as this part of the game is a dreary sequence, and the one I'd like to focus on is the first room. The player sees the drunken father of poor boy's crush and is required to find the correct head for his body. The dad states that he has become so drunk he turned into a potato, and now takes the form of one. Just the fact that this is supposed to resemble an exaggerated version of reality is scary to know that either he or the people around him feel this way about where his actions have taken him. With this said, I also wanted to discuss the final room of the game. After defeating the final boss of sorts, which is a gargantuan talking version of your love's cat who quizzes you about events in the game, you are brought to a dark room and must walk over to what looks like a post box, proving to be the case the closer you get. One really neat story technique I found that propels the build-up and atmosphere for me is when the player gradually makes his way towards the mailbox, which is stated to be the bottom of your crush's heart. Text prompts pop up on screen, and it reads the love letter that your character wrote as he makes his way to the mailbox. This continues until the player takes control once more and is allowed to finally mail the letter, and the ending plays out as poor boy is brought to the love of his life under lover's tree for a wedding ceremony. I felt the delivery of the scene was very powerful and noteworthy, and another reason why this game should not be dismissed. Like any entertainment medium, there are bound to be weird entries to industry standards that break the formulaic routine of what's considered to be normal. Throughout history, we can see examples of this in many areas of art. Painter Salvador Dali and his movement into surrealism a prime practitioner of this ideal, as well as many inventors of the craft who have groundbreaking ideas not yet attempted or implemented within the medium's norm. Being weird can certainly be a good thing, but only by having proper substance to the piece and purpose behind the project presented. Please check out Chulip for yourselves if you're even remotely curious, and if you like this video, please be sure to subscribe for more videos on Chulip,